Hey, welcome back to ZK MasterTech. I listened to you guys and you said you wanted to follow the rest of the repairs on this S680 now that we got this thing going, and I listened. So today we're gonna go in and do the feeder house conveyor chain and knock that out real first and try to get the feeder house wrapped up. Let's check it out. All right, so you guys want to see the repairs? Here's what we got. In order to get this combine field ready again, and we've already done the inspection, we're going to do the right hand feeder house chain guide, the feeder house drive chain, the idlers for the drive chain, fix the contour master linkage that's broken, the feeder house conveyor chain, the mid-floor wear strips, the feed accelerator bearings, left hand and right hand, and then we're going to pull the chaffer frame and we're going to replace all the swing arms on the cleaning shoe with all new bolts and all new arms, and then we're going to inspect the chaffer frame and all the components in the shoe while we got the chaffer frame out. So that'll be a big ticket item there. Left hand clean grain auger bearing is completely out. I mean, it's gone. The unload chain, we don't have to worry about these two segments because it'll be covered under the swing arm, so the remove and install of the chaffer element and the sieve element will be included in that one. And then when we have the sieve and the chaffer elements out, we'll straighten the fins on those and check all the louvers. And then a left hand final drive input seal because it's leaking, the feed accelerator belt, the clean grain elevator boot. The divider in it is cracked and someone's welded it before and it's starting to break again, so we're best off just to replace the whole boot. We're going to adjust the tailings paddle chain. I think there might have been some cotter pins missing. The rethresher chain idlers and the drive chain. I had a segment for coolant level low, but now we know it was the EGR cooler, so don't have to worry about that. The exhaust manifold's already done. The loading auger driver, so the little driver that goes on the gear case that runs your loading auger in the grain tank. These two segments here, we're going to change all of the unload augers. So there's 3 augers in the unload tube, in the horizontal unload. And then we're going to service the entire machine, and then that was the batteries, and we've already got that fixed too. So quite a bit of work to get done here in order to get this combine field ready again, but I think we can manage that. Okay, so here's all our parts for repairs, and all those numbered items you see on the whiteboard are segments. So each repair order is going to have segments, and each segment is a certain task. Like segment 2 was the feeder house chain guide, and then 3 was the chain, and so forth. But what I'll do is I'll go through the work order and I will pull up each segment and see what parts are built on it, and then I will separate it out all through 4 segments. So I know, see, I'll write a 3 on it, so I know that's for segment 3. So when we go to clock in on segment 3, we know where 3's parts is and 4. So everything has been organized per segment, so whenever we go to do the job, we're not hunting for parts. And also it allows us to give us time to inventory all the parts to make sure that we have everything. And then if we didn't have something, we could catch it early instead of trying to, getting into a repair later on down the road and then we don't have the parts for it, and then we got to order parts and might have to wait on them. We don't want to have to do that. We want to eliminate as much as we can right out of the gate. So we've got everything that I've ordered so far, so we should be able to get going on this fairly quickly. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is like to take this shield off here, and we got 6mm Allens here, 15s here, here, and then 2 more 6mm Allens. And if you can't get those out and they're really tight, you can just take a propane or a MAP gas torch and just heat them a little bit, and then they'll usually pop right out. And these little spacers go here. Now we got room to get this chain out. So the next thing we're gonna do is detension this chain here. Okay, with this feeder house, we have 2 spring tensioners on each side that is keeping tension on the mid floor, so it pushes the feeder house drum forward into the chain. And my weapon of choice is I like to use a swivel with a 30mm and a mid torque. Okay, so now we're going to take our master links out. Okay. So the game plan is I'll take a new chain and I'm gonna dangle it up in the air and with the forklift and attach it to here, and then we're gonna pull this lower chain out underneath to the floor while we feed the new one in the top. So we're gonna use the old chain to roll the new one in. Okay, so we got the new chain laid out here on the floor, and this is where you got to pay attention. Okay, so you got to pay attention which way you got the the serrated part on these bars, so you get the chain in there correctly, so when this chain comes around, the serrated edge is on the front. But you got to pay attention to the length of the chain here. So see how we have a long here and a short here? Well, the way I want to run this chain is I like to run them in from the top, but look, if you've got, so we've got the bar here correctly with the serrated edge on the front, but if you have a long piece right here and a short piece here, it's not going to feed correctly. So if you were to go ahead and feed this chain in and hook it up like this to the top, once it gets to the sprockets, you're gonna bind this thing up in the feeder house and just have a booger of a time trying to get it back out, okay? So if you got a long side here, you can't hook it up to a long side here because you'll have a ton of slack on this strand here, but you'll be tight on your middle strands. So you'll have slack out on the ends, but be tight here. So if that's the case, then we're just going to flip this chain around and we're gonna feed the new one in the bottom. So we're gonna hook our, see how we got a short end here and a short end here? Our ends down here have short ends. So that'll hook right up and not have any slack, and it'll feed into there correctly. So what we'll do is we'll get it hooked to the bottom, and then we'll get the top pulled down, and then we'll hook onto the top of the forklift and strap, and then we'll start working it up. And the reason why I'm using the forklift is because you don't want to have to fight both chains coming in and out while you're standing here trying to lift it, and these slats are getting caught on the feeder house and all that. It just makes it a whole lot easier to get that chain up and out of your way while you're trying to feed a new one in. Trust me. Okay, so we have a little issue with this new chain, and in my opinion, the slats are mounted on backwards on this chain, because the only way that I'm going to be able to make this thing work is to just hook it up in the middle here on the bottom, and now we've got this big gap on the outside ends. It needs to be opposite. So this end has, you know, a long, short, short, long, which is what I need to hook up on this bottom end. But if I did that, the slats would be backwards. So in my opinion, the slats are installed backwards on this new chain, but it'll still work. It's just going to make it a little more difficult to install it. So we'll pull it in the bottom all the way to the top sprocket in the back, and I'm going to have to lower the feeder house down so we're not catching on these edges down here as bad, but also so I can get this upper door off, so when we get the chain worked back to the upper sprocket and we go to hook around, I can get up in there and kind of help hook the outside ends on the sprocket and get it timed correctly, and then pull it the rest of the way through. Someone wasn't very nice to me at the chain making factory. I guess we're gonna ride the struggle bus today. Perfect. imagine pulling this chain out and it's going to the ground while you're trying to feed that one in. They're fighting each other. We're getting close. I think we're winning. Now we just gotta hook the ends up. Where's my pliers? Check. New links. Check. It's hot in here, Patrick. It's hot in here. I'm sweating. Whew. It's hot, Bob. Heat problem fixed. So I'm going to show you a trick. Start with one end, 16-inch Nipex Cobra pliers. Slam it in. Go to your next one. Remember, your outsides, the nuts have to be to the outside because they can't run on this little rib right here. It's a little tougher to get in, but you can do it. Mint. Okay, before we get too excited and tighten the feeder house conveyor chain up, might as well throw these new mid-floor wear strips in. They go in down here because they're worn through, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all those replaced real quick.
Oh yeah, it's nice and cozy here now. How about now? Okay. Stay. Pop them out. Ooh. Look at that. Got holes wore through it. And these they have a little hook here that you put into a square slot, slide it in, and put your bolt in. Oh, would you look at that? Bad? Good. I think there's pieces still in there. Maybe. Nope. She must have ate it. Woo. Yep. We're gonna have to get serious. Holy. All right. Complete. Okay, now we're going to put a little bit of tension on each side. I like to kind of go halfway and then do the final torque just so it's
You don't want to slam one side all the way tight and then do the other side. They won't be even. This down. Okay, so you want to take this back edge of this washer and you want it to line up right here on this notch right here. So as the chain wears, it'll wear out to here and then you adjust it back. That's how I do it. So when you get the chain tightened properly on both sides, you should be able to spin this freely like that. It should move really easily. If it doesn't, if it's too tight, you got the tension too tight, or you could have not be seated correctly on the top sprocket, where one of these bars could be crooked and it's binding up. So when you get done, you want to spin it, and it should take minimal effort to get it to rotate. And now I got this, putting this shield back up in here. Just get all the bolts started. Oh, work phone's going off. Glenwood, Minnesota. Hello.
Zeth, hey, I got the 8360 RT in our corn planter dugout. I'm wondering if you could swing over and we could take a look at everything.
Yeah, sure, no problem, man. That's like the longest service call ever, man. You're like, what, in Minnesota?
I am, but we got a heated shop here. I figured we could unfold it, go through, maybe check out all the wear parts on the planter, go through, do some calibrations, and service the tractor up.
Yeah, sure, man, no problem. I'll just get a hotel booked, and I think I'm gonna have to get a planter master to bring with me, though.
Okay, yeah, that works.
And we'll just come up there and get her done for you, man.
Excellent. We'll maybe see you, what, later today?
Probably not today. I mean, I drive fast, but not that fast.
Well, you get here when you get here. We'll keep in touch.
All right, man. I'll see you then.
All right, thanks, Seth.
All right, bye.
Bye.
That was the Millennial Farmer. I gotta assemble the A-team. Hey, dude. We're going to Minnesota. We gotta go to Millennial Farmer's place, and we're gonna inspect his high-speed planter and his 8RT tractor. And you need to pick me up at my house at 6:30 in the morning, and you're driving.
Who's Millennial Farmer?
I'm gonna pretend like you didn't say that.
I still don't know who Millennial Farmer is.
All right, so we're northbound, headed to Minnesota, going up to Millennial Farmer's place, and we're gonna shoot some content, and we're gonna show you guys how to inspect a high-speed planter. We're also gonna inspect a A360 RT and do a video on both those units, show you guys how to inspect those things and kind of things that we do and what we check for. We'll go over all that, but I got Caleb here in the truck.
What's going on, ZK channel?
He's kind of the whole reason why I got started in Sloan's and John Deere in general, because I was working at an automotive dealership and things weren't working out there, and he's like, hey, you ought to come to Sloan's and work on green stuff. I'm like, I don't know, man, I don't know anything about tractors and combines.
Piece of cake.
He's like, it'll be fun, trust me.
And now here we are.
So here we are. So Caleb, tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got started in all this.
Yeah, so I'm Caleb Hawbaker. Been with Sloan since around 2005. Got into it after I went to the John Deere Ag Tech program at Lakeland College in Mattoon. Started turning wrenches pretty early on. Quickly figured out that was not really for me. I'm not really built for this big heavy stuff. So went to Southern Illinois University at Carbondale and got a degree in Ag Systems Technology. And came back and started doing AMS product support with Sloan's. Back in those days, we really didn't know what that was, but we grew, and the AMS department has exploded, so we've expanded it into more of a product support role. So started doing product support, mainly AMS, but tractors, combines, planters, the whole 9 yards, and then doing a lot of internal training and stuff right now, working on getting technicians trained and doing things like that. So, been around the block a time or two.
Yeah, how many years have you been doing it?
Like I said, I got out of high school in 2005, so jumped right into it right there at Lakeland at Ag Tech. Sloan sponsored me, so I've been with them ever since.
Awesome, man. But you left Sloan's and you went and worked at a farm for a while.
Yep, 2013, I believe, had an opportunity to go run a 9,000 acre farm and see what that was all about. Got some really good experience there, actually operating the equipment and seeing it from not only a technician standpoint, but actually doing the day-to-day stuff on a farm. So gained a lot of experience as far as operating equipment. Got a lot more in-depth knowledge of why we're doing the things we're out here doing. So good experience. Just decided to come back to the dealership. It was a little bit better role for me, a little bit better suited. So came back, and we pretty much picked up right where we left off.
You've been back, what, 5 or 6 years now?
5 years now, yeah.
5 years?
Yeah.
And I am super happy to have him back, because my life sucked without him there at the dealership.
Yeah.
So, since I'm not a planner expert per se, I know enough to be dangerous. That's about it. You know, if they've got an electrical problem or hydraulic problem, something like that, I can go out and fix that kind of stuff. But when it comes to, you know, all the technicalities of putting seed in the ground and fertilizer and all the rates and all that stuff, you know, and all the AMS products to support on those units, he's the man.
That's what we do. I enjoy that part of it. It's fun to work with farmers and get their equipment set up right, and just kind of give them the shock and awe factor of showing them what all this equipment can do. So that's my job. I love it. It's a good time.
Yeah. So we've been driving for a little while, but we've got 7 hours and 51 minutes to go. So I think we're gonna chalk this one down for the longest service call ever.
Longest one I've ever been on up until this. What did we do?
We went to Louisville, Kentucky,
yeah.
one time,
Yep.
and we drove like 5.5 hours down there, and it was like 95 degrees, like super hot. And I was supposed to do a pip on the sprayer. And we were doing a push rod pip, so I had to do replace all the push rods in a 6.8 liter engine, and he had to swap out the auto track valve.
Yep, EH valve.
Yeah. We drove all the way down there, and the sprayer wasn't there, and we could hear it coming down the road. And here comes this guy in a sprayer, and you know it was already super hot, and then this thing's been running for a while, and we had to work on that thing in the heat with the engine super hot.
Yeah.
And I had to put push rods in this thing, which you're not really supposed to be replacing push rods at operating temperature, but you know we had to do what we had to do. And
hydraulic oil's pouring all over me.
Yeah, he's getting hot oil all over him. I'm putting push rods in. We just got the job done and then drove 5.5 hours back.
Yeah, this will be definitely the longest trip, longest service call. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we're gonna hit the road and get some miles under this truck. We made it to Iowa. World's largest truck stop. This place is huge. Well, we made it to Waterloo, Iowa, you know, where all the John Deere tractors are made, so that's pretty cool. Ram got a little thirsty, so we're getting some more push juice. And I think we're going to get a bite to eat and then hit the road again. Well, we made it to the hotel here. It's -3 degrees outside and there's like 10 feet of snow everywhere. So it says at the hotel that you have to guest register in at the diner. So not really sure what that's all about. Going in the diner. So we finally made it to the hotel and we're gonna call it a night, and I appreciate you guys watching. The next time you see me, we're gonna be at Millennial Farmer's place doing a little tractor and planter inspection. Keep that green iron moving, guys.